y'all, and welcome back to another Wedding Wednesday. My name is Jane Corley with Pic Visions, Media Arts and Photography. If it's your first time here, welcome. Every Wednesday we go over tips, tools, and techniques in order to plan a wedding. In today's episode, we are talking about wedding coordinators and wedding planners. Should you have them? Does your budget allow them? What do they even do? So let's get right into it. Wedding coordinators and wedding planners. Wedding coordinators and wedding planners can actually be something that is mandatory from your venue. So if you haven't found your venue already, or if you have found your venue already, make sure to ask your venue if a wedding coordinator or a wedding planner, even if it's just a day of coordinator, make sure that if that's mandatory, that you understand those limitations, and they may even have somebody on staff for you to go ahead and use, somebody who knows how to use the venue, who's worked with other vendors, and who already knows the lay of the land so that you can have a successful wedding day. Other vendors may also have wedding planners and wedding coordinators on staff for you to hire. Your florist, your caterer, your entertainment, people you're doing rentals from, they all may also have wedding coordinators and wedding planners on staff for you to hire and use for your big day. So I keep saying wedding planner or wedding coordinator. What's the difference? A wedding coordinator is somebody who is there for you for like a month of, week of, weekend, or day of time frame. A planner is going to be somebody who will be there for you the entire step of the way. They'll be there for you when you're doing your vendors. They'll be there when you're talking to your venue. They'll be there when you're talking about your budget and your planning process and how to get everything done in the allotted engagement time you have provided. That's the difference. So when I toss around planner versus coordinator, now you'll know what they're talking about. So next big question when we're talking about planners and coordinator is it in your budget? Is it something that you can actually afford to have to help you along the way of your engagement? Your week of, day of coordinator is going to range somewhere between $1,500 and $5,000. So make sure to budget that in your budget if you're going to be using one. A planner, somebody who's going to be there along the way, kind of helping you with every single step, that's going to range somewhere between $2,000 and up to $15,000 depending on what you have them doing. If you have them doing everything and all you and your future spouse need to do is show up on the day of, you're going to have to pay for that service. So be prepared for that. Talk that over with whoever is helping you with your budget. Talk that over with your future spouse and really just find out, is that something that you need to include in your budget? And finally, when you're thinking about having a wedding coordinator or a wedding planner added to your budget, think about what your process is. Think about all the things that you are dreaming about for your big day, and then get realistic about if you can do it by yourself. Get realistic about who is going to be able to help you and how you're going to actually pull it off. I would suggest that if you're having a wedding of 200 people or more, that you're going to want to have a coordinator for at least the last few weeks. Somebody to make sure all of your boxes are checked, to make sure that everything is taken care of and everything is in line and on schedule so that nothing is surprising on the big day. Quick tip before we really get into it: if you are having a destination wedding and you are choosing to have a wedding planner or a wedding coordinator, find someone local to the area you are getting married. Don't pay for extravagant travel expenses if you don't have to. So if you're getting married at the beach and you live inland in the United States, find somebody who is local to that beach environment. This will also really help because when they are talking to your venue or when they're helping talk to your caterers, people who are local vendors to that area, they will actually be the go-to person who can go check everything out, make sure everything is legit. So some questions to ask when you're looking for a planner or a coordinator. Do you have our date open? Duh, right? If you don't have a date selected, make sure when you find your date, you do ask and communicate with your wedding coordinator or wedding planner. Do you have that date available? Is that something that you can go ahead and block off? And what do we need to give you for a deposit in order to hold our date? Because to pay for this wedding coordinator or planner, they're like any other vendor. You're going to have a deposit to hold their date. Then you'll probably have a payment somewhere in the middle, and you'll have a payment at the end, unless they also have a stipulation where everything has to be paid halfway through the process, or even a month before. Next, ask how long they've been doing this. How much experience have they had? Also ask, are they certified? And if they are certified, with what wedding associations? Ask about their references, their proof of concept. They have portfolios as well and may even have videos of weddings they've worked with. Ask them how many weddings they do a year. Is this your full-time job, or do you just do it for a hobby? Because you're going to want somebody who does this full-time and takes this seriously, because this is their prime source of income. This needs to be somebody who will be focused and grounded, somebody that you can count on, and not be just fly by night of, oh, this came up or this came up with my other job. I need you to prioritize my wedding. Now let's talk about vendors. Ask them if they've worked with your venue before, if they're not associated with your vendor, of course. But make sure that they are accustomed to working with vendors, and they may actually even have a predetermined vendor list. This adds a little bit of confusion, a little bit of a headache, so make sure to ask. A lot of wedding coordinators and wedding planners will have a list of people that they prefer to work with. It's almost like their little group of posse, if you will. It's people that will market them as a business so that you market them as a business. It's a group of people who work in the wedding vendor industry who recommend each other's services and are just kind of like a little cliquey group. So make sure to ask if they have unlimited resources of who you can choose as a vendor. That way you have a lot of flexibility. You don't want to get caught having to choose their caterer and their caterer is not in your budget. You don't want to have to choose their photographer or their entertainment options because they're on their list and that's who they suggest, whether you like it or not. So make sure to have transparency with a wedding coordinator and a wedding planner and ask them about their preferred vendors list if they have one or if they don't. Ask them about their package options. If they don't have them and they're just an a la carte, work with them about what you need them to do. If you're needing them to do everything, talk to your vendors, work out your budget constraints, work out your stationery and florist and make sure everything is going the way it needs to go. Do all of your DIYs. Be transparent with what you need them to do and pick a package option that is realistic in your budget. If you need to make exceptions here and there and maybe have your maid of honor or the groom's mom help you out, then have that transparency so you won't be caught by surprise. The budget options will be clear with your coordinator and your planner. Have that upfront information, and if they don't provide a contract or an invoice or a list of services or a list of packages, do not choose that coordinator or that wedding planner. Do not choose them because they don't have themselves together. It's not a professional business. Ask them about their staff. Is it a one-person outfit, or do they have 4 or 5 people who are going to be there to help you along the way on your big day? Who is their point of contact person, and who are their minions underneath them that you can also get in touch with or also use as a resource during your wedding planning process? Ask them about cancellation and refund policies. They should have a cancellation or a refund timeline, something that's like 3 months in, if you're not getting the services you like to get from this company, what are the cancellation policies and what are our refund options? Because with wedding planners and wedding coordinators, you're going to find out within the first 60 to 90 days of working with them that they're not going to be a good fit. If your spidey sense or lizard brain or whatever is giving you tingles and telling you, well, this person is not as focused as I thought they would be, or not as involved as I thought that they would be, get rid of them. Refund, cancel, find somebody else, because it's going to be a recipe for disaster on your big day. I'm going to try to tell you a little story before we get on with things. We chose a wedding coordinator that was a really, really good friend of ours. I don't suggest choosing your friends unless they've been seriously vetted and you've talked to 4 or 5 brides that just love, love, love them. Don't choose them. They don't prioritize your work, and it's almost like they take your friendship for weakness, kind of like they take your kindness for weakness. They think that they have a little bit more leeway to not do the job that they normally do because we're friends and we'll just stay friends afterwards. It'll be okay. We're not friends afterwards. It's it was quite a surprise when I was upstairs getting ready and having a great time, and come to find out my whole entire bridal party had to set up my wedding for me because our wedding coordinator just like disappeared for 2 hours. She had taken advantage of us and taken advantage of our friendship and not fulfilled the duties and was too distracted. So make sure that you talk to the brides, talk to the grooms that have used them before, and get references, get information, because if I had done that beforehand, I would have saved a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of energy and a lot of stress. Because come to find out, she had worked on other brides and they were very dissatisfied with her services as well. So make sure to vet and just hire your coordinators and your planners like you would any other vendor. Check their work, check their proof of concept. So let's get back to it. When you're talking to your coordinator and your planner about packages, find out, are they able to help you the entire time with all of your wedding events, including bridal parties, including rehearsal dinners, including anything before the wedding, and even with honeymoon options? Are they able to help you book all of that information? So find out what the magnitude of their services or the constraints of their services are based on what they are able to provide. You can even ask them, what is your experience with weddings over 75 people? What is your experience with weddings of 125 people? Have you ever worked a wedding of over 200 people? These are important questions to ask because you need to know their capabilities. What are things that they have concrete experience with, not something that are like, yeah, I'm sure I can do that. You don't want to be the first time. I guarantee it. You do not want to be the first time this wedding planner or wedding coordinator has done the job. You don't want any surprises. You want them to walk in like any seasoned vendor and know exactly what needs to happen, be understanding of what your vision, your theme, your information is, because they're going to be your other body. You're not going to be able to do anything on your big day because you're going to be too busy getting married. You want to know that everything in your reception space, everything in your ceremony space, everything in your whatever wedding space is good. You don't want any surprises. This is the coach. This is the middleman. This is the person who handles all of the other vendors and is yourself when yourself is not available. So, with all of this being said, why would you hire a planner? What is the purpose of a planner or a coordinator? What do they do? First and foremost, they alleviate stress. So if you don't feel like they're alleviating your stress, don't work with them. They're there to alleviate your engagement process stress. Next, they should be the go-to person for all of your wedding questions. How do you do this? What's the best way to do that? Is there a hack for this? They should also know how to work with budgets creatively, know how to talk to vendors in order to get some specials or deals, or at least know what the questions are they need to ask to expedite the process of working with vendors. They are your go-to person on the day, the week, the month before your wedding. If anything comes up, a concern or a stress, they are the person that you're going to ask. It's like having a secret in your corner, having somebody to ask anything that may be boggling you and give you the answers and give you the momentum to move forward. The biggest thing for a planner or a coordinator, no matter where they are in your process, is to know how to prioritize your to-do list so it can be a to-done list. They're going to be able to see the big picture and know exactly, okay, to get to this end point here, we need to do this first, this in the middle, and we can do these things in the end because these things need to be a priority to be able to do these things over here. They're the person who is going to be able to lay out every single piece of ingredients to make this wedding happen and know how to put it all in order so that it all gets done and gets done correctly. So what are you looking for in a wedding coordinator? What type of person is this going to be? They need to be a financial guru because they're going to help you with your budget. They need to be a multitasker because they're going to be doing multiple tasks at once. They're going to need to be pretty much like an HR representative because they're going to have to work with a lot of people. They're going to have to know how to talk to a lot of people and dealing with different personalities. They're going to need to know how to be attentive and organized. They're also going to need to know how to prioritize tasks so things get done in an orderly fashion. Lastly, they must be good about working under pressure and under a deadline because your engagement might be 3 months long and you got to plan a wedding for 150 people in 3 months. That's going to take some work, y'all. That's going to take some work. So this is going to have to be a person who knows how to work under pressure and on a deadline. So along with good business skills, they're going to have good communication skills and listening skills. They're going to have to understand what your vision is and be able to communicate with you the best way to get that vision achieved, as well as communicate with you how this probably isn't going to work in your timeline, this probably isn't going to work in your budget. Here's an option for something that might work, and along the same lines, it's a little more budget friendly or a little bit more time sensitive. They're going to know how to communicate with not just you and your future spouse, but also with your family. Working with people's families is not easy, and they're going to have to be someone who is open to communication and open to an understanding nature so that they can work with a lot of different personality types. And not just in your family, but also other vendors. Some vendors are really, really difficult to work with, and they're going to have to understand that language and that lingo so that they are able to work with those other vendors. But first and foremost, they're going to need to be able to work with you and your fiance. If you don't feel that positive vibes between each other and you're not on the same wavelength, you're not even in the same book, let alone the same page, that is probably not the person for you. So in the first few months or few weeks or few days of hiring a coordinator or a planner, you really need to focus on translating your vision with them and really working out all the details. This will not only create a clarity between you and this coordinator or planner, but it will also give you a good feeling, a good vibe. If you guys are somebody, it's going to work out. If it's not feeling right, not feeling fluid, and these people seem a little distracted and don't seem like they're prioritizing you, then you don't need to pay them to do the service for you. Everything should be know or go between the first month if you're having a planner and the first 72 hours if you're having a coordinator. This should tell you, okay, this is going to work out. And a planner, of course, you're going to hire in the beginning of your wedding planning season, but a coordinator, you need to meet them within 6 to 8 months before your wedding, because you don't want it to be a surprise 2 weeks before your wedding and you just don't have anybody to help you plan your wedding. So you need to have your coordinator or your planner in line, whichever one you're using, at least 6 months before your big day. That way you have time to look for someone else if needed. Planning a wedding, and I thought that this was outlandish when I first started, but it's legit, y'all. Planning a wedding is like a full-time job. At least a pretty heavy-handed part-time job. It's going to be every moment that your brain had to wander on fun, wonderful things going on in your life. You're not going to think about weddings. That's it. Your conversations with your friends, it's going to be about weddings. Conversations with your family members, it's going to be about weddings. You're going to have a wedding book, a wedding planner, a calendar, all that kind of stuff in your bag, with you, in your car, wherever, at all times. Everything that you do during your engagement period, you might talk about some personal things here and there, but then you're going to get to weddings. It's all going to be about weddings. It's like word vomit. You can't help yourself but talk about it, unfortunately, and your friends will forgive you after the wedding's over because it's going to be a ball, but it's going to get to be a lot. So do make sure to take a self-evaluation on how much you want to or even are able to take on in the wedding planning process before you decide, yes, we want to have a planner, or no, we do not want to have a planner or a coordinator. Next, what does your tribe look like? What does your friend group look like? What does your wedding party look like? And how reliable are they to delegate tasks to in order to get results from them? So are they willing to help you with DIY? Are they willing to help you with invitations and stationery assembly? Are they able to help you go and shop for decor items, or even just brainstorm in the aisles of craft stores for decor items? Are they able to help you out so that those are not things that you need to give to a coordinator or a planner and you can just do yourself? You don't have to rely on another person to take care of for you, because you have people in your corner already who are willing to help you out through the planning process. I actually had a phenomenal sister and a phenomenal best friend and a group of other women in my life that really helped me out through my process. So we actually only needed to really have a wedding coordinator, somebody for the weekend of, and I just kind of kept in check with them to let them know kind of what was going on and where we were at. So make sure to really inventory what you've got for your tribe and who can help you out through the wedding planning process, so that you know what to expect and what to delegate and what you can just really take care of yourself in the wedding planning process. So what can you expect from a wedding planner or a wedding coordinator? And what can you do yourself? What are the things that either a coordinator or a planner is going to help you do, or what can you do yourself? They're going to help you find your theme. They're going to help you nail down kind of these accessories will go with this, these decor items, all this blah, 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 blah. This is your theme. They're going to help you work out your timeline, not just for your engagement process, but for the day of and the weekend of. They're going to help you communicate with vendors, talk to vendors, and stay within your budget. They're going to help you with your guest lists, who you're going to invite, sending out invitations, sending out save the dates, helping you keep your thank you notes in line, helping you keep your schedule in line, so that when you go to all these fancy parties to celebrate you and your new spouse, that you're going to be able to have that in your timeline. They are going to help you with rental options. They are going to be able to see the big picture so they know, okay, well, we have 2 bathrooms at this place. You're probably going to have to rent bathrooms. Is that something that you want to do with this venue? If not, then we need to find another venue. Are you going to have enough dance floor in this area? Are you going to have an outside area where you're going to have a social atmosphere outside? Let's think about everything and really just visualize how the space is going to be in this venue space that we've selected. They're going to be able to work with the entertainment to really get the timeline for the songs and all of that information down. Now, on the day of, the coordinator or the planner is vital. They're going to help you set up and take down the event space. They're going to help you translate all the information to the vendors. If any surprises come up, they're going to be there to answer all those surprises. They're going to be the go-to person if anybody has any issues with transportation or any of that blah, blah, blah. They are the person that people are going to call so that no one calls you or your new spouse. They are the go-to person on the day of. They need to be reliable. They need to be accountable for this very reason. They are going to be you when you cannot be you. They are going to be the person who is going to uphold and fulfill all of the vendor needs, because they are the middleman who make sure all the other vendors do what they say they were supposed to do and are where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. They're going to coordinate the setup and the takedown and really just be the MVP of the day, making sure everything continues to go along without a hitch, so that if anything does happen, it is fixed before it starts, or it is hidden and covered up so that we can just continue to move on and everybody's none the wiser. So when you are choosing a planner or a coordinator, be very selective. You cannot just choose anybody off the street. It takes someone with a very specialized set of skills to see the big picture and work with this amount of people on an individual level. Everybody has to get fed. Everybody has to get drinks. Everybody has to get from one location to another. Where do they park? Is the air conditioning on? All that kind of stuff. This is a person who can see the big picture. So whether you are having a planner or a coordinator for your wedding, I cannot stress it enough. Consult your budget. Be realistic about what you and your tribe can do yourself. Be thoughtful about what you want and be able to translate that to another person, even if it's just jotting down ideas and this is what my vision is. Be clear. Make sure to find the right person, the person who vibes with you, the person who has the same flow and wavelength that you do, somebody that's easy to talk to and who's a good listener, someone who has good business skills, financial skills, and has really good proof of concept. Ask for references, ask about certifications, ask them everything, because they are going to be the pretty much the fourth person in line between your bride, your groom, your officiant, your wedding planner. They are the other most important person on your big day, because they're going to be where you cannot be on your big day. They are going to be the cog in the wheel when you cannot be there because you're too busy getting married. Make a good choice on your wedding planner and your wedding coordinator, because they can be a recipe for disaster, because you count on them for so many things, and if they don't deliver, then it's a really big loss when they don't deliver, because you count on them for so much. So be selective and just be careful when you select a planner or a coordinator. And they can be really, really awesome. They can be really, really awesome and really, really helpful, but they can also be really, really awful. So make sure that you're selective, make sure that you are clear on exactly what you want, and teamwork makes the dream work when it comes to a planner or a coordinator. So until next week, do make sure to like this video if you learned something new, subscribe, and ring the bell if you have not done so already, so you do not miss videos every single Wednesday on tips, tricks, and techniques of how to plan your wedding. I am Jane Corley with Pick Visions, Media Arts, and Photography. See you later, guys.